In this lesson, we'll learn how to set up our Mari project to work in so we can move forward with this course. Alright, great. So here is Mari 2.0 version 2. Let's go ahead and create a new project by simply tapping on the New button right down there. And once this dialog comes up, we'll go ahead and give it a name. We'll just call it something like Game Character. And let's go ahead and tell Mari where to find the geometry for this project. So at this point, you'll want to make sure you have your project files downloaded, and we'll tap this button here. And you'll be able to go ahead and browse to those files. Now inside the referenced files folder, you'll find 3 OBJ files. And we want all 3 of those. So we'll just go ahead and tap the first one, hold Shift and grab the last one as well. And let's go ahead and just tell Mari to open those. Now you'll see that the path for each one of those gets loaded up here. As far as the mesh options, we're going to go ahead and leave these set as the defaults here. But for the texture options, let's come down here and create a texture channel. So now the one channel that all 3 of these should have in common, at least right now, is going to be the color channel. So we'll go ahead and tap Create. And for the size of this channel, we want to go ahead and set that down to 2K in resolution. Now, this game character that we're texturing is going to be a non-player character, so it's not the main focus. And it's for current generation gaming systems, which would be PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, things of that nature. So with that said, let's go ahead and again set 2K as our texture size. We'll go ahead and hit OK. And watch as Mari goes ahead and creates our project for us here. Alright, fantastic. So there's our asset that we're going to be working on textures for. Now, what we want to do at this point, let's go ahead and load up the Objects palette. We can find that under the View menu here, under Palettes and Objects. You can see there are our 3 objects that we chose to load up in this project. Now, you may be wondering, why do I have 3 here? Well, one of those is for the lenses in his glasses. Now, if I come over here, what I can do is I can tap the little eyeball next to lenses, and we can hide that object really quickly and easily. Now, as far as these lenses go, these are going to be just normal spectacles. So these are glass and should be fairly transparent. Now, it's easier to go ahead and just assign a material for those in whatever 3D program you're using rather than try and paint diffuse texture for that. That's just not something we can do here inside of Mari. So that's why I've kind of isolated those into their own object over here. Now, if you zoom in a little closer on this with me, you'll notice he also has some planes that were created for his eyelashes. Now, those eyelashes would be generated based on a transparency map, which I'm going to show you a little bit later on in this course. But in terms of painting the diffuse for the eyes as well as the face, those little planes might get in the way and look kind of strange. So we can come in and hide the eyelashes as well. So, all right, fantastic. With that done, let's go ahead and select the character object here. We'll go ahead and grab our selection tool. I'm just going to make sure I'm in patch selection mode right here. Just drag a marquee around the entire thing. And let's take a look at the UV layout. So over here you can see here there are 2 texture patches. We've got the patch on the left here, which is going to include all the geometry for the character's body, while the patch on the right here is going to include all the geometry for his head. So thinking about how the character is going to be used, what would the player character primarily see? What are the areas where the texture needs to be of higher resolution? So a lot of times that's going to be the head areas. So we've gone ahead and given them some more texture space here in the UVs. So with that said, we'll come back over here to our orthographic view, and let's go ahead and set up a shader so we can begin to view our textures on top of this mesh. So we'll want to come over here to our shaders palette. If you don't have that open, again, you can find it under the View menu. And under the shaders, there's this button right here to create a new shader. Now, I want to click the little arrow next to it. You'll notice there's a number of different types of shaders we can create here. Now, if you're a part of a production pipeline, then you probably should keep that in mind in terms of what type of shader you guys would use in your pipeline. I find personally that each one of these seems to display the normal map information just a little bit differently. So for this course, I'm going to go ahead and choose the Beckman shader here. And once we've done that, we can come down here to our texture inputs, and we can go ahead and select our color channel, just like so. Now, we haven't created a channel yet for our normal map, and we will be using a normal map for this character. So let's come over to our channels palette at this point. And there you can see our one and only channel, which is our color channel. So to create a new channel, we'll just tap this button here. Simply come over and you'll want to type in whatever name. I prefer to name it based on the type of map that we're putting on that channel. In this case, we'll go ahead and call it normal map. I'm going to go ahead and leave that set to 2K as well. And the file space is going to be normal, as well as the color space is going to be color. So we're going to go ahead and create this for the character object only. I don't need to create a normal map or apply a normal map for the lenses or the eyelashes. So with that done, you'll see this new channel pops right up in our channels palette. Now, this little icon to the very right of that is the icon that will access the layer stack for that channel. So I want to go ahead and drag that over here, and I don't want to snap it in on top of all those other palettes. I'd rather, let me just tap that button there. I'd rather come over here and just kind of pin that, simply using this little button to the left right there. So now it's pinned in place. It's not going to disappear on me. Typically, a palette like this will disappear if you mouse away from it. So with that palette in place, let me just resize that a little bit so we can see a little bit more. So with that palette in place and with my selection tool, let's go ahead and select, let's select all the patches here, or rather the patch for the body, just like so. So I've got the single patch for the body selected here. Now remember, the body and the head are separated on the UVs. So what I have here is a normal map saved out for both his body as well as his head. So inside this layer stack, you'll find a single layer called base. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to go ahead and right click on that, and I'm going to drag this up just so you can see this menu that pops up. So I'll just right click, and it's just out of view. It's the next option down. It says import. You'll go ahead and select import into layer, and let me just browse to where I have my project files saved here. There we go. We'll go ahead and double click there, and here we go. All right, fantastic. Look in your referenced files folder, and you'll want to make sure and clear this template out so we can actually find these. These aren't TIFF files. So now we have the body selected, so you want to go ahead and select the normal_body.tga file right there. And I'm going to go ahead and choose to import this for selected patches. Remember, we selected the body patch, so we'll go ahead and import that for selected patches here. Now, you may wonder, where is it? We haven't brought in a normal map. Well, we have, we just haven't plugged it into the shader. So if we come over to our shader, right here under the normal map input, we'll go ahead and select our normal channel right there. And there we go. Now we have some information that our normal map is feeding us. So now we do have a normal map for the head as well. So let's go ahead and repeat that process for the head. We'll select the head patch. Right click over here on our base layer, import into layer, and I'll select the normal_head.tga file, just like so. All right, fantastic. I can go ahead and close out of this palette right here, or this layer stack. We'll just tap away, and now you can see all of the detail that normal map contained. It actually had quite a bit in it. So now we've got a lot more to go off of as we're beginning to create the textures for this guy. So now with that said, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about bringing in a custom shelf. So I've gone ahead and saved a custom shelf for you. If you'd like to use some of the same colors and brushes that I'm using, you can go ahead and load this up. Now I'm going to load that up by coming over here to my brush palette, or my brush editor palette rather. And if we come over here to shelves, we'll go ahead and just tap this little plus sign right here. Now if we do that, you'll notice here that Mari prompts us to create a new shelf. Now if you wanted to create a new shelf just for this particular shelf that I've provided for you, you could do that. I'm actually going to load mine up instead into the project shelf. So if I come over here and select project, we're going to come down here and take a look at these two buttons here. Now the one on the right is going to save an existing shelf, but the one on the left will allow you to import into a shelf. So I'm going to go ahead and import and browse to my reference files folder, select this game character.msh file, and we'll go ahead and hit open here. All right, fantastic. So I've basically brought in all of that shelf data into my project shelf. Now this project shelf will only display this information when I'm in this project. So that's why I like to use that particular shelf. This information that's not related to other projects won't follow me to those other projects. So with that said, we're ready to get started. So let's go ahead and in the next lesson, let's begin setting up some base textures for the layered shirts that our character is wearing.